Hello. I've just sat here and I've decided to do another live. A little bit nervous, a little bit all over the place, really, and energetically. So I'm not going to say it's a punishment to come on here and do work. Hi, Crystal. But it's one of those where I get quite agitated at times with my life. So I've come on here to get past the point of procrastination. I think that there's sometimes where you can sit there and seek all of the wonderful advice in the world, but at some point you've got to press that go button. So I've been inspired by a couple of people, and I'll give them a shout out because I love what they do. So he may turn up here at some point, he may not. So looking at the Fit the Such, and he's launching his full-time coaching services now. Thank you for that, Crystal. I appreciate that. And then also Fortune Cookies, who I've been having a conversation with. And I'm really, I love people who tell you a story and then answer a question without you actually phrasing the question. And it was really interesting what we've been speaking about this afternoon. So the reason I'm on here, right, I mean, is to get myself back into going onto YouTube. So for anybody who's not seen me on YouTube before, last year I put my heart and soul into getting YouTube up and running and chasing after the subscribers and things like that. And it's not my medium. It really isn't. So, but it's one of those things that you're very fortunate to have, where you can put stuff on here and you can gain an audience. So I thought, well, maybe if I just have a tweak and a change of mind, and I look at what I'm trying to gain on here. So I'm being on here, and I'm being 100% honest. I'm looking to promote awareness of my channel and the work that I do and where I aim to take it. Like with anything, you've got to sort of promote yourself, because nobody's going to come to you just naturally. You've got to kind of work on the presence. Now, my gift that I've been given to work with by the spiritual world is the guarding, the guiding, the inspiring, the spiritual life coaching. And what I do is I offer myself up kind of, because I'm not sitting here and saying I'm any sort of guru whatsoever. What I am, and this is proving out time and time again, is I'm talking through experience. The stuff that I promote, the stuff that I do, is based on a lot of lifetimes experiences, a lot of things that have happened to me. So I'm not saying that go out and do as I've done. However, I've got to my mind, a very much deeper understanding of the things that people possibly have gone through. Now, you might have noticed those that are on here, because I've got 3 in at the moment, those that are on here, and welcome to anybody that's joined in, that have got the man with the tism. So I want to explain that as well, because one thing I don't want is I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me or worrying about my mental health. But I am going through that big healing journey, and I have mentioned a few times now, I am on a crusade, right? And I make no bones about it. I'm on a crusade to help people that believe that they have got that are on the autistic spectrum, or they've got ADHD, or any of those things. The more and more that I learn about it, the more and more I want to do, and the more I want to help people. So as I'm working through, I put on there the man with the tism, because I can't officially say that I've got anything, but I strongly suspect. I've done my own research, I've done my own testing, which I don't always advocate. However, this is the position I put myself in. So my career and my work base is as a psychic medium and tarot reader, and I've been going up and down the country for 8 years to be able to give myself that moniker, to give myself that title. The thing about being in the man with the tism, now this is a little bit new to me, how I understand how I work and what I want to do. So I might be in a stage where I'm thinking I'm very, very much enthusiastic about promoting my business and things like that. And then into my head comes that tism thought, the procrastination, the fascination with something else, the over analyzing, looking at things over and over again, getting hyper focused. not completing your tasks because it's not directly in that frame. And then that led me to look at other things that were going on in my life. So while I'm doing all of this promotion and putting out there that I want to help you guys, my head has decided to piss off on a holiday, right? Where you're going, all right, okay, so showing you the greatest hits of things that you've done wrong in your life. And do you know what? It's quite weird. Hi, Sam. It's quite weird. It really is. That you get in your mind, I want to focus. I want to do this. I want to help people. I want to do card readings. I want to promote my business and all of this sort of stuff. And your mind just goes to what I would call porridge. You end up treading through your own mind treacle. So I thought, well, what do? Do I withdraw and completely shut down because I'm not getting what I wanted from YouTube? Or do I accept the fact that I need to maybe change my outlook, change the direction that I'm looking at? So I decided on the latter rather than the former. But the thing is, what you get from me is like yesterday, if I'd have come on, I was in a horrendous mood. I was really struggling yesterday. The dark demons were playing about in my head. So sometimes it's just like taking that little step backwards to assess what's going on around you. And it's not always easy. So at the moment, me personally, I've got a three-pronged attack. I've got problems with a back injury. So I'm going to a chiropractic to sort out a problem with the back and also with the neck. Very painful, right? Long-standing injuries, issues and things like that are being looked at. Mental health has been a focus of my life since I was 15 or 16 years of age. Now I've sort of put that into place that I need to learn how to manage it. And then all of this with the tism and all of this sort of thing, part of what sort of slows me down is the over-analysis and the overthinking and the difficulties in hyper-focus and all of the rest of the stuff that I've researched comes in with it. I'm now looking at that of, right, do you know, sometimes I just need that clear headspace, so I'll go to the gym. So, as I say, if you've got Hutch on here, if he turns up at any point, the thing is with Hutch, at the fitness Hutch, is he'll help you focus on going to the gym. Right, my gymming, I mean, I've been in the gym since I was 15, 16 years of age. It's been one of those things that when my head's not been right, it's been somewhere to go in and basically switch off as much as I can and just lift heavy shit. Last year, I went back in there and it was a case of if I just get in there, then I will help my mental health. Then after that, there comes that point of going, right, what am I actually doing? So you start to look at how you're spending your life's hours. What am I actually coming in for? So this year, there was a slight change. I started going back to the gym late October 24. And I've started getting back into the routine of lifting weights for a reason, body shaping. So you look at your mind, your body, your spiritual health, your mental health, and your physical well-being, and put that all in together. So I've been looking at that all while dealing with this, what I believe to be ADHD. So I called it the man in the tism. You see, I do get there, the man with the tism, is because how I feel at my safest, if I'm in the wrong frame of mind, right, I will sit like this. I will have my hoodie up and it will block out the ambient noise. I will be in my zone, if you like. So when I go to the gym, I pull my hood up and I train. I don't want to bother anybody. I don't really want to talk to anybody. But I'm also finding the same when I go out socially anywhere. So you can imagine me that's now back in the gym. I'm getting my healthy weight back up and I'm starting to build a little bit. I walk around looking like this and people are starting to look at me. And it's quite difficult because you don't want people to be aware of you, which is a bit of a clash with when I'm doing work on spiritual stuff and I'm doing my work up and down the country where I'm doing readings and stage appearances and things like that, where I do want people to look at me because that generates me income. So I'm in that stage, guys, where I'm coming on here and I'm kind of like putting myself out there and it's uncomfortable. This is usually my space where I can just come on and I can just do whatever I want to do. I can be me without any expectations. But what I strongly start to realise is that it's one of those things now where I am a introvert, and I didn't realize. So you look at techniques for dealing with that introvert of you. You come and catch me when I'm working on your behalf, or when I'm working out on stage. I'm the extrovert, and they don't always tally up. It's like two opposing magnets that you go in there. So in the middle is my brain that's trying to sort all of this lot out and process it. So for those of you that do know me, thank you for your continued support. For those of you that don't know me, what triggered all of this was about 18 months ago, my dad passed away. And I don't want to be one of those that's harping on about how grief has done this and done that, because it's not the point in this particular story. What it is it's triggered an awareness. But when you trigger that awareness, there's a price to pay for it. So it's like going through that greatest hits, as I said earlier, of everything that's affected you, and going through all of your coping strategies and go, I'll have a bit more as well. So it's brought all of that to the surface. So at the minute, I am carrying quite a big burden emotionally and spiritually, but also in the everyday life. I'm not a whinger. I'm not sat on here looking for sympathy. I'm just being very, very clear on what I'm trying to achieve. So I put on there that my cry for help. Well, my cry for help is, please like and share my work, because this is my work. This is my life. So doing the spiritual readings and the spiritual counselling, as that banner says, scrolling along the bottom. I like entertaining people. I like giving them closure and confirmation from the spiritual world. But where I want to drive my business to is about the coaching, because it's having this tism, as I keep labeling it. It's what I'm starting to see it now as, instead of going, oh, it's a problem and I need to find a way of coping with that. No, just need to flow. Because my wife said to me, she said, but you've always been like that. So if I think back to what I've always been like, there's always been a way of coping with it. I've just not been aware. Now I'm more aware of it. I feel under more pressure. But the information is already hardwired into the brain that when you come up to certain things, and I'll give you an example, like social situations and things like that. I used to feel really guilty because I truthfully cannot handle being in social situations. I'm not being awkward. There's lots of people out there that I love and that I respect. And I just can't be in that sort of social situation. I've said to people when they've said, what do you do about friends? Well, the weird thing is not having had friends years and years ago, you kind of get used to not having friends. So that becomes a programming in the mind. So now when people offer friendship, I've got nothing to base it on, right? To have like where you're in and out of one another's houses, having a drink and things like that, because I'm just not used to it. So now I've become more and more aware of the type of person I am. Instead of feeling bad about not having friends, I just go, well, I accept that that's part of whatever this is that's going on in my brain. So there's a tick. There's something I understand. Why do I always overthink things? Well, again, hyper focus. It's a symptom. It's a reason. But this is, again, it's not sitting here and telling people why I'm justifying who I am and what I am. No, it isn't, because I'm now seeing it as a bit of a superpower. Because if you get somebody, and the label for it at the moment is neurotypical, which basically means that your brain acts like the majority of other people. They will tell you things that they've learned, how you must do, and things like that. And it will get you as far as it needs to get you. But when you've got somebody here who doesn't think in straight lines, who doesn't go down the most convenient route, I've got this sort of overview now where I'm going, right, anybody that sits in front of me and starts to talk about their story, I can start to see like little pathways light up and just go, oh, we could just tweak them. We could just move them down this way and get them to look at that. And this is why I'm marketing myself as not a teacher, because I'm not a teacher. I don't want to teach people, because I've said this from the beginning of doing this work, that I'm not here to tell people what to do. I'm here to support them while they do what they need to do for themselves. So it's one of those, how do you promote yourself? I got into that stage where bottom lip's gone down because YouTube didn't go as I thought it would be, but that's not down to anybody else other than me. So every now and again, I'm testing myself. I'm coming out of that thing because I know that I'll perform on here. I don't need a script. I can just like improvise whatever's coming out there because I have a rough idea of what I'm actually coming on for. But it's actually getting past that point of procrastination and organizing myself. So what I want to do is help people that are struggling with mindset issues. Right? I can throw out tried and tested things that I've seen from other coaches and stuff like that. But what I want to do is get that more person-centered approach and just going, right, I want to tap into your energy. I want to understand how you process the content and information around you. Because I worked with somebody the other day who the instant that I stepped into their energy became protective. And one of the things that always gets into my mind is imagine that you've thought the same thought for many years in a row. It's what your upbringing's taught you. It's what your environment's brought into you. It's everything that you know. And you start to feel a little bit awkward with it, right? You start to feel a little bit uncomfortable with it. So you go to somebody and you say, well, this is my opinion, right? And this is how I've been brought up. This is what I've always had done. And this person being me steps across and says to you, well, there's another way of looking at it, right? There's two ways of then thinking from that, because you could go, oh, right, yeah, oh, yeah, right, I see that point there, and I'm going to make a change and I'm going to go in that direction. But if you've got a trauma-based mind and somebody sort of challenges you and shakes your very foundations to the core, you will then build a structure around that original thought to protect it. Oh, this person's threatening me now. They're saying that I shouldn't be doing it like this, but that's the way I've always done it. So you then build the structure around yourself to protect you from that awkward conversation. And this is quite often what I find when I'm working with people's energy. I always ask people what they're looking for with an interaction with me and say, right, what is it that you expect from this interaction? Tell me from your perspective what you're looking at. I mean, I see all sorts of lights and things going on around people anyway, so I can give my interpretation. But the thing is to help them see when they're building that construct around the self to protect the self. Because if you want to do something different, essentially, you've got to go into those dark spaces. And I'm big enough and ugly enough to go into that dark space with you and shine a torch on it. You will not come to any harm. At the end of the day, you might gain a different perspective on it. Worst case scenario, it might be a little bit too much for you to deal with, and you'll close it all down again, in which case you've lost nothing, only an hour of your time. So it's when you look at people, I've had an upbringing that's brought me blur. Right? I've had experiences that has given me blur. Life at the moment is throwing all of these curveballs at me that are showing me signs and clues. It's like a detective story that there is a better way of doing things. There is a better way of viewing things, and there is better for me out there. But because that's what I've always known, I built up this construct around me, but I've always worked. I've always looked after my family. You know, I paid the mortgage, done the bills and things like that. So the back throws are moody. Because what I would normally do is go to, let's say, labouring, driving, things like that. At the moment, I am not physically capable of doing that because I'm in too much pain. So you look at, right, okay, what's next? So what else would I do? Well, I've got experience in butchering, which is a dying art these days. I've got experience in plastering, which I can no longer do because I'm not physically able enough. I started it at 42. I'm nearly 53 now. So that's not going to sustain me. So you've got to kind of like look out there. What am I capable of? And when there's nothing coming back, it's quite a scary place to be. So then you start to learn your lessons, because the thing that keeps getting repeated to me from spirit and from guides and people that are out there that are coaches yourself in other ways is it takes time to build. But if you've got one of those mindsets that just goes, well, if it takes time to build, how come I've been doing this for 8 years and I'm not in the space where I want to be? Well, that means that you're at this point of change. And when you're at a point of change, all that you know is up in the air. You know, everything there that you've known is now on shaky ground. And that's where I am mentally and emotionally at the moment. I'm not in a place of loss, because the more that you focus on a place of loss, the more that you're going to struggle. So it's trying to find yourself in a space where you're just being, right, without the thoughts. One of the most damaging things that anybody ever said to me was, right, I tell you what, when you go into meditation, switch your brain off. Right now, if there's anybody out there that's on that neurospicy brainwave, somebody saying to you, switch your brain off, I would say it's virtually impossible. I really would. I would say it's virtually impossible. If you can do it, please fill me in on how to get on that wavelength, because I don't understand it. So I started to look with it. Right, what can I do? So I have what I call dustbin meditation. Right, dustbin meditation. I'll repeat that for anybody that's looking in, because we've got 3 people on it, showing us having 3 people in it. Right. Dustbin meditation is, imagine that you are going into a room of quiet. We don't want to put the pressure on of we're going to sit there cross-legged and arming and all of this sort of thing. We are going into that space where we're going to just sit and attempt to quieten the mind. But the brain's going off at 100 miles an hour. I've got this to do, that to do. I've got this to organise. I've got tea to cook. I've got gardening to do. And it's all going around in your head. And somebody's just told me that I need to switch my brain off. Oh my God, what am I going to do about that? Because if I don't get that right, then meditation's not going to go right. And then I'm not going to progress any further spiritually. And then it's all going to be a huge waste of time. And then I'm going to get angry at myself and just go right up. Whoa. So we imagine a dustbin outside the room that we are going to sit in, where we're going to do this work that is beneficial for ourselves. It shouldn't be in that space of going, we're going in there to benefit our own energy. So in the dustbin goes all of the thoughts, all of the imaginings, all of the considerations. But how I manage it is to say, right, I'm going to set myself a realistic time frame where I can sit quiet. And for me at this moment, it's about 10, 15 minutes. Anything more, I start to get squirmy, itchy, and I start overthinking and overanalyzing. So for 10 to 15 minutes, I'm giving over all of my thoughts and all of my imaginations and my task list to my guides that are round and about, and they stay that side of the threshold so that it doesn't come into the room with me. Then I find my comfy spot wherever that is, and I get myself laid down or sat in a space of comfort. Now, the realization there that I've given myself that 10, 15 minute clock. So I'm not going to think about why I'm in there. Right? I'm just going to sit there in that space of being, knowing that I've got 10, 15 minutes of peace. Now, this is where I apply the second dustbin, right? Because I know in reality that 15 minutes after I've finished all of this, I'm back into my real world, the other side of the threshold. The other dustbin that we're using is going to be there for anything that comes in between the thoughts that come in as you're sat there in peace. In space. If you can imagine it as meditation and you want to put that claim on it, then absolutely fine. I can't. It just brings up too many images of sat cross-legged and nomming, and I don't find any peace with that. So the thing is, your thoughts are probably still going to come by about maybe you've got things, an appointment, maybe you've got to run after somebody, you've got to cook a meal, whatever it is. Right, and here's the trick. The way that I do it is I know that is going to happen. So as those thoughts come in, I let them drift by. I don't place an attachment to them. They're just words. They're just imaginings. You can put a colour on them. You can put a shape on them. But the important thing is that you don't put any attachment to them. Let them drift by. Because we've got that clock running. And what we're looking for from with that clock running is 10, 15 minutes of a little bit of peace for you, a little bit of you time and calming down. So as we start to let these things drift through, you can put out your thoughts, your requests to the spirit world. Ask any questions. Ask for somebody to come through. Ask for your guides, your spiritual team. Even connect with your higher self. And the key is about your higher self is it's with you from the moment that you arrive on this plane to the moment that you leave it. So it's not going to lie to you. It's your support crew. But sometimes we just need to sit amongst that chatter, the monkey chatter, as I would call it, and just tune into that higher vibration. When that comes in, right, just let it flow into the other bin that you sat there next to. Don't check it for reference. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Right. Just recognize it's not one of my normal thoughts. I will put that for dissection later on. So you do your 10, 15 minutes, right? And as you do your 10, 15 minutes, just sit as quiet as you can. Take some deep breaths. You know, the proper, and just monitor your breathing. Right. And if you feel yourself sort of drifting off elsewhere, just pull yourself back and remind yourself that you're not there to do a task. You're just there to just be. When your 10, 15 minutes are up, I always finish with thank you. I'm in a place of gratitude, because if something's come in, it's going to be for my betterment, because we've made it clear that we only want to deal with positive and uplifting energy. Then as we go out, I always say bless you to the room and thank you very much for indulging me, whatever, however you want to word it. And then I'm back into my reality. I pick up all of my thoughts, my inspirations. Now, anything that you've thought about or that's come in while you've been in the room there in that state of meditation, or whatever you want to call it, write it all down, but don't analyze it. Right? Just write it all down. If it's a page full of gobbledygook, if it's a picture, if it's an image, if it's a memory link, just put it on your piece of paper somewhere and then leave it. Come back to it later on when you're in that sort of mind state where you want to sit and analyze. Then when you go back and analyze, you will find that once you discount anything there that you might have put down that you know, KNOW, that you know is your thoughts and your imaginings and your considerations, what we're learning to do is master the space in between the thoughts. And that's where the spiritual messages and information come in. So usually when I sit down, I get a lot of healing towards my throat, because obviously with what I do, I speak a hell of a lot. When you're doing the Tism and things like that, then again, you do a lot of talking and you send out a lot of healing. Right, let me just answer that. I am, yes, I'm just sort of, what it is, I'll tell you how I've imagined it. Thanks for the comment. I'll tell you how I've imagined it. I've looked at it and I've gone, right, what do I want to do on YouTube? So when I started out last year, I was sort of campaigning because I wanted people to come and have readings with me. I still want that, but this is an advert for spiritual work, spiritual life coaching, and I have got my cards with me. So to answer that question directly, yes, I'll do you a card reading. Remind me. And I'll get to that in a minute. But what I'm hoping to do is send out healing energy to people when they're struggling with anything, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to bring in that upliftment for people, and just going along the spiritual life coaching. But yes, I will get round to readings. I'm being a little bit selfish here, because I want to work with everybody's energy. But what I'm doing this for is to keep pushing me, to motivate me, because I say this, I do a lot of work. Right? I do a lot of work up and down the country, doing things called psychic switches, psychic cyclones, psychic swaps, whatever you want to call it, where you go in and you will have a table of, let's say, 10 people. And then you've got 5 tables of 10 people. You've got 25 minutes to deliver messages and things like that. Right. Now, as I come in, what I know in my heart is that I promote healing. And I don't know what it is and how I do it, essentially, but Spirit have entrusted me with this fabulous gift. Now, if I sat down in a room full of people that are there on the piss, there for a bit of entertainment, and said, right, you need to pay attention to every single thing that I say, because regardless of what I say, it's not about my words. It's about the healing intent that I'm putting out there for you. So I could sit there and talk about subjects that I know nothing about. But what I'm doing is I'm promoting that healing. Now, how arrogant does that sound, right? If you're saying, right, stop everything that you're doing because I know what's going on, right? I truthfully don't. I've got to trust my guides and my inspirers that I'm there for a reason. But what I found is when you sit there and you're getting on to the latter part of the evening, you sit and you start to work with people. Most people have had the bits of the readings and the messages that they need and tarot and stuff like that. I come along and I'm a bit of a spiritual philosopher. And I've got this way about me, and I think this is because of my spiritual background, my prison service background, where I look at you and I'll read you. I look at your energy and I see your face and I'll read you. And this is the thing. Spirit are never wrong, in my humble opinion, but I am. Right. So I have to find a way of interpreting what's coming across. I imagine it like going into a radio studio and then being on the mic and parrot fashioning what's coming across in my headphones, because it's an image thing with me, and that helps with the confidence, and that helps with the difficulties when you get what I call the ookies. So the ookies come in when you just like, I want to run, I want to get out of here. This is the autistic part of it all. Like, I need to run away, but I'm here to do a job. So what I've done here is to push myself onto the internet here and come out there and just I'm being honest. I've got a studio set up that's all around the lights, the green screen and all of that lot, but I've just not been motivated to put it up. So I thought, well, that's just an excuse. Right, I'm not going on there because the room's not set up. Right, get past that. And, well, you know, the lighting's not right, and you're not dressing in the right way. You're not wearing the waistcoat and things like that. And so this is why I've come on dressed like this, because these are my safe zone. I might look ridiculous, but the point I'm coming to is whenever I meet people, and I would tell you this if you was having a private reading or a private session with me, whether you meet me out on the street, whether you meet me at an event or something like that, I truthfully, and however many people see this, do not give a shit whether people think I'm any good or not. Right? I really don't care. I care whether I think I'm any good or not. And that's where my battle is. I know that because I trust spirit so much, the universe, the guides, the gods, whatever you want to know it as, that I'm here to do a job. My ego isn't going to get involved in that. Right. So I look at things and I give it exactly as I've got it. If I'm picking something up, why am I picking that up? So I'm not going to sit here because it makes me laugh. You see a medium come on, and this is live, this is on YouTube, that I've got your mum here and what she's telling me and all of this sort of shit. And I'm going, where are they? That's what my brain will do is where are they? Well, for me, it's a feeling. It's a sensation. It's a memory link. It's a chat. It's a voice. But I don't know that they're there. Right. So this is why I stick to, right, this is what I've got. Take it with you. Because if you can then get the person to realise that I might have got the person that is delivering it slightly off, right? I'm getting a feeling, I'm getting an emotion. Excuse my dogs, by the way. I'm getting a feeling, I'm getting an emotion, I'm getting a thought process, but I'm not literally speaking to them. So I've got a postman of sorts. So the postman is delivering a letter. That's their job. So as they deliver that letter, the contents of the letter are what we're actually here for. Because I've spent money watching people that spend an inordinate amount of time saying to me, I've got your granddad with me. Brilliant, right? I know that because my granddad is one of my prime people that will come in for me if I'm ever receiving a message, right? But I'm not interested in knowing that. What I want to know is what he's come for. Now, other people might be different. So that is what I base my spiritual work on. Spirit send people to me because I ask for them, for the people that I can work with. So I'm not interested in proving myself. Right. Anyway, I think I've had a good rattle on about that sort of thing. So I'm going to have a look through. If there's anybody on it, I'm only showing 6 people. Right. So if you want a reading or a message, I'm going to stay on as long as I can to cover anybody that wants a reading, and I will get through as many as I can do. I've got my 3 decks of cards with me, right, which is single oracle cards, which are, I love them because they're so simple. I have got tarot, which is my Josephine Ellishaw, and if you like to check out her page, I've used her cards ever since I started, because I started out with Rider Waite, but Rider Waite were a little bit too dour with the energy for me, so I wanted a bit more colourful. Went to the more colourful ones, and then again didn't quite sit with my energy. I don't know why. And then I changed to these, and I've gelled with these, so I've stuck with them. So when they get worn out, I use them again. I'm probably at the stage where they need changing again. And then I've got Angel Oracle cards. So you don't. Thank you. Right. I appreciate that, and that's the way that I want to come across. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, I'm not nobody. Right. I've just been put in this fortunate position where I've answered a calling. I'm at that stage where I want it to be more than what it is, because I've been doing it 8 years, and in my mind, I should be more comfortable with that, having appointments and things like that, not sort of scrapping around for little bits. And I will keep going until I get to that point where I can pick and choose a little bit more. At the minute, I'm doing everything that I can to just raise awareness. And I make no apologies for that. Because I'm like any person that's trying to keep their own afloat and all of the rest of it in the difficult world that we live in. So I hope that makes sense. I appreciate the compliment. And I'm going to say this to you because I'm going to flick this back at you, Crystal. Right. When I started with all of this, my biggest thing that I struggled with was when people had told me you're doing well. I've had so much crap and negativity in my life where people have pulled me down, and I've had depression and anxiety and all of that shit. I've got used to that. When somebody says, oh, you're a load of shit, you're not worth it, blah, 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 and all of the rest of the negative stuff, I've got used to that. So you find a coping strategy. But when somebody comes up to you and says, I don't want nothing from you, I just want to tell you, thanks very much, you made a difference. Well, it's like that. Because I've got no reference point. I don't know how to do it. So it's one of those things. And this is my coping strategy for compliments like that. Acknowledge the compliment. Say thank you. Right? When people are bringing up an alternative opinion, thank you for bringing that to my attention, because you use your life's hours to tell me something. Now, you didn't have to. So I acknowledge the fact that you've said that, and I say thank you. Because what comes into my mind is compliments and insults. You're round the corner from either one. So at some point, you might be on a really good run with Summit, and then you're going to cock up, right? And then you might be in a real shit space, and round the corner is what you're looking for. So I say thank you, because it's like the tarot journey. You go from the starting out of the fool who allegedly knows nothing to the completion in the world. And then what happens when you get to the world and the end part of it, you start again. So I acknowledge the compliment, and I will say thank you very much for that. Right. Let me have a quick look at that. Keep working through. Yeah. Honestly, the thing is, and this is my belief system. I've had lots of alternative training. I spent thousands of pounds on training and sitting in circle and all of this sort of thing. And I'm not pulling any of them down whatsoever. I've had some good stuff. I've had some stuff there that's turned out to be in the end like that. But essentially, and this is what I say to anybody that's looking at doing readings or guidance or working with there, when it comes down to it and it's you and a client or you and an audience, you've got to rely on you and what you feel. So if you're not genuine and you're not coming out with like from the heart stuff, people are going to find you out. And you may well have a big audience for a while, but it won't last. So with me, you get warts and all, because you get the nerves, you get the anxiety, you get the tics, and you get the truth, right? Not everybody's going to like that. And I see that regularly with the broadcasts that I do, because people will come off. Right? And that's their choice, because spirit, non-coercive and non-judgmental, right? Which means that they won't push you into doing anything. They will be there in the background to help you. Likelihood is, if you're very spiritual and all of a sudden things start to take a downturn, the likelihood is that you've got too much going on in the background. So they'll take a step back to allow you to process that, because there is no time in the spirit land. And the non-judgmental, because that's not what they're there for. They're an energy. People want to know who they are. Who are you talking to? I'm not talking to anybody. I'm talking to an energy. So it's almost like bouncing off that higher frequency, and that higher frequency comes back to me, and then I take it to pieces and pass on exactly what I've got. So I don't do ego. Right. I'll answer that. An attempt 2 days after he passed away. And I said to the person, all due respect, I don't wish him any harm or illness or badness or anything like that. All I want to know is that he's finally at peace, because our relationship was difficult, to say the least. And if I've got a choice about who I have around me, and I always say this when I'm reading for other people, I have a choice of whether I dish that message or give that message out or not. And my choice is in regards to my dad. I hope he's finally at peace, but I don't want him around me. So if he does try and contact, and I really don't think he does anymore. I think he's got the message. he may well be in the background and he might pop up in another way, but I don't want the message to be honest. And I'm not being snotty or anything like that. I'm telling the truth. He's now at peace. Right, Sam, I hope you're still here because I've got waffled on a bit again, haven't I? Right. Oh, let me just address this. Let this comment, and then I'll start working through the readings. Right. I read Tarot myself and practice Reiki. Right. I can't shout at you because I'm not a bad person like that, Jane. Right. You do not practice. You do not practice. One of the things that I started out working in the church circles, and I'm not a religious person, and I'm very bad with my mouth. It's a real effort for me not to swear and come out because I just talk normal, and it just comes out at a machine gun pace. So I don't go in churches so much because I feel like I'd embarrass myself. But one of the things that really used to get up my nose is when a medium brought in a fledgling. And the thing there is, I'm just putting this person up because I think they're at the right stage of their development. I'm going, oh, fuck that. Right. If you're brave enough to take on energy work and tarot work and, you're saying you're practicing your Reiki, you're ready because spirit have brought the circumstances in and around you for you to progress down that route that you need to progress. And back to my earlier point of saying, when push comes to shove, you're all you've got. So don't do yourself a disservice there by saying that you practice, because you don't. You're brilliant, right? You're amazing, because we wouldn't have made contact. And that's the way I look at it. And anybody else that comes here, I'm not here to blow sunshine up anybody's arse. I tell the truth, right? So part of the thing is if you raise your vibration as well and just go, right, I'm me, right, without any of the little nuances around you, you'll attract your right soul. You'll attract your right vibe around you. So I hope that's okay. I hope that's okay, because I'm not being negative at all. I'm a people person. I'm not a people person when you approach me in that sense, because I've got too many ookies going on. But I'm a people's energy person. So I just think with you, Jane, getting into that higher vibration now and recognizing you've lost yourself for a good long time. That was then, right? And part of my, when I start to work with people, is I listen to the background story and then give the same 3 words every time. And then what? When the story's finished. So it's looking at now, yes, you've experienced that. And if you tuned in right at the beginning, this was where I was talking about that when you've experienced that, you might have built a framework around that to protect it. Now we need to take that framework down. You've experienced all of that. And then what? What's it taught you? What's it guiding you to do? What do you feel pushed to take yourself forward with? So it's one of those. Right. Let me do this. Let me do this. Right. So, Sam, are you still on here? Because I say I've gone round and round in circles. Right, yeah, she is. She's already answered that, you idiot. Oh, dear, I don't know. Oh, bloody hell. I'll tell you what, right, I'm going to answer that, Sam. Sorry, I keep calling you Sam. I hope that's all right. You might be a Samantha, I don't know. You might be wanting to call that. Sorry, I've got that habit. I saw a lady, I did a reading for her, and she was in bits. She really was in bits when I started. Very shy, very embarrassed. You can see the closed off body language and the pull themselves down, and they don't want to look at you. And I gradually encouraged her out of it. Anyway, I said, are you okay? Because she was quite emotional. She said she was okay. So I was at peace with that. The following day, when I'd done the reading, I could see her sort of stood in the background, but she weren't like coming close or anything like that. So in the end, being where I've got to ask the question, I said to her, are you okay? And she just come forward. She said, can I just have a second? I said, yeah, of course you can. She says, I just want to tell you what a difference yesterday made. You are amazing. Well, instantly I flipped that back and said, I'm not. I'm just me. I'm just pleased that you're okay. And this is the bit that made me change my outlook towards those compliments. Even though I find it difficult, she said to me, you will never know how much it's took me to come into this space again and speak to you. I waited and I nearly chickened out. And I thought, well, what if she had a chickened out? She'd have gone home with with that all she wanted to do was pay me a compliment, and I was too busy to notice, or something like that, because you never know what the mind's going to formulate. So I turned round and I said, thank you. I genuinely appreciate that. But just remember, you did all of the work. Well done for getting you here. And you will be absolutely fine if you remember that on the good days, you do more of what you're good at. And on the bad days, just be kind to yourself while you get through to that next phase or process. And she said to me then, can I have a hug? Right. And I'm not very good with the hugs. It's took me a long while to accept that spiritual type of events, they want hugs. What I've also realized is my hugs are healing as well. So I'm kind of like still working and on the job, but I'm battling against the ookies in my mind of going, oh God, that person's in my personal space. But that's the sacrifice I make because I want to help people. I've made that very, very clear. So sometimes you get what you ask for. Right, let's see where we're going, Samantha. Sam? I'm in trouble with myself here. It's like listening to the monkey mind chatter. Right, I pulled you 3 cards, and I'm not looking at them. I'm not trying to bring them all together. I think you're thank you. I got my first deck when I was 17. Okay, yeah, I will do that for you. I will do that for you. Not a problem at all, Christina. I don't know whether you're publicising what you do, but Dog Star Tarot. And I will give that a plug. Embracing Aging, off the top of my head, if you're still doing that, if you check Christina out on Facebook, if you're coming from Facebook, on Facebook and on YouTube. But I don't know how to put links in or anything like that, so it's being verbally mentioned. Right. So, Samantha, finally, as he gets his neuro-spicy head around this, balance. Right, and how I interpret this card of balance. So you've got an angel stood there with a black and white ball, and this is all to do with the mental health. This is all to do with the confidence. This is all to do with the mindset, as far as I'm concerned, in this thing. I've got a fatherly figure around you in spirit, but not giving any messages at the moment, stood there in the background. So this is somebody there that's just looking after your interest at the moment, but is not got anything to add. I think just like a bodyguard and a presence. So as he's not saying anything, I will just deliver what I think about the balance card. Balance card is how I used to manage my mental health. Is anything that I've done where I'm embarrassed about. So like the various issues with the mental health, the depression, the anxiety, the usual negative Nelly tape. I used to try and bury it. Now, the thing is about burying anything within the psyche is it has a tendency at some point when you're triggered in the present moment to rise to the surface and cause you a load of shit. And I found that over and over and over again. And the problem is that the more you do it, the more exhausting it becomes. So now I've come up with this scenario that life is all about balance. It's not always black and white. So I acknowledge that up here in there is a boardroom, and there is a managing director, and the managing director, because he's got my condition, the tism, doesn't have a secretary to filter through all of the thoughts. So everything comes through the managing director, which is me. So what I do now is when a negative Nelly or the triggers or the things that have happened in the past come through, is I will listen. But because I'm so busy and the mindset's always off on the next tangent, I've got to say to you, right, I've got to ration it down to 30 seconds. It might even be less than that, right? Speak your piece. So as that's spoken, right, I acknowledge that you're upset. I acknowledge that you feel let down. I acknowledge that there's been whatever the thing is that needs its attention. Right, come here. Big hug. Right. Now, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not dismissing you. But what I am saying to you is I am now 52. Right. And at 52 years of age, what you was experiencing then, I don't need any advice on. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. I will get back to you if there's any decision to be made. So rather than burying it, I've acknowledged it. It won't go anywhere further forward because I'm not learning anything from it, or I'm not getting any better feeling from it. So it's processed and sent along its way, but it has been acknowledged. And this is how I deal with this balance card. So anything that's you're dealing with at the moment with your mental health and anything along there where you're having to confront issues from your past, remember, it's about balance. Deal with both. Give them the same amount of time and attention to it. and then look at the and what's next part of it. So we're not keeping it. We're not keeping it there for reference. We're not going to keep going over and over it. If we've made a decision, we've made a decision. So just acknowledging some of the darker sides of you that are there, just to remind you of what healing work you've got left to do on the inner child or the shadow side of things, but not to beat yourself up over it, because there are better things to do with your time. All right, tarot card, the Chariot. So the Chariot is about forward momentum and progress. I always look at this here as a reality check, because you look at what progress am I making? Well, you're doing the right thing, because forward is forward, even if you're doing it in small steps. It's in the sense of saying to you, right, it's not going to be overnight. There may well be a couple of spokes in the wheel over this next 2 or 3 months, but essentially you're heading in the right direction. So this is, for me, is the drama queen card as well, because if we can get that just in camera shot there, she's looking a little bit over here. So she's a little bit distracted. So she's on a new vehicle. She's progressing forward, but she hasn't quite got she hasn't quite got control of the range yet. So whatever you're bedding in that's brand new at the moment, you just take your time and have a little bit of patience with it. And once you get used to things, you'll be steering in the right direction in no time, but don't rush. And how we're going to do that? Well, we're going to maintain energy, because this is the Knight of Cups. Anything to do with knights is about action for me, other than the Pentacles card. Swords, the mind, the intellect, how you think and how you process. So what I see with that is, it's kind of like, right, we're ready. We need to press the go button on something. So whether it's a career, a job change, or a different direction now, this is about you taking charge of your thoughts, looking at your mind, your intellect, how you're processing at the moment, getting yourself in order, and then pressing the go button. It's energetically, like, really fast, but it's ultimately worth it. So keep up the good work, Samantha, and hopefully that makes a bit of sense. La, la, la. Right, let's just put that up there. Okay, yeah, it isn't. No, and I agree, which was completely why that I'd done this style of reading. Right, are we still on Tarns and Rohan? Are we still there? Because I don't want to do it if you're not there. If you've gone off because you've got bored with me rambling. Anybody on there that wants a reading? Because I'm quite happy. What's that coming? The church would fall down. I love that. And it's not that I'm not. I know how to behave, but when I get nervous, I tend to blah, as I would call it, and all of this stuff comes out. And I'm sure I've got Tourette's. I did an event at a place that involved sort of a churchy people. And I walked in there, and all I could get coming through my mind was I was looking at this young lass, and I wanted to pass this message across. And it came out of my mouth before I got the filter on, and the message was quite simple: switch your dickhead magnet off. Right? And as I shouted that, the second it had come out of my mouth, then the phone of this person rung, and she went, "It's him." I'm like, oh God. But if you'd have seen the look I'd got from the people that are more traditional, so rather than explain that I have a mouth like a potty and I'm liable to say inappropriate things, and as I say to people, I'm not going to turn up, I'm not going to risk it, because I get myself into so much trouble. Right, let me do this. Right, let me give it a good shuffle of cards. Here we go. I do get myself into so much trouble, but it's one of them. I say things, and it's one of them where you go, oh shit, I shouldn't have really said that right after I've said it. The timing would be a lot better if you could just like rake it back in and go, before I say it. But I don't think that that's going to happen. I say the more and more awareness I get of this tism, I can't see where that's going to happen. Right. So conflict, right, for you. And this is for Tarns and Rohan. This is conflict. So I look at this, and this for me it's a courageous card. But the problem is when we get comfortable in our discomfort, right, where we get our head down, and I call it putting the black blanket of protection on. You put the black blanket of protection on and you just crack on It's like headbutting a wall. It's a job that you've got to do. It's causing you pain, but it's something that you need to get on with. So you crack on and you keep doing it until you get to the point where you're going, is this the best place for me? But it usually takes a trauma or a trigger or something like that. And then when you stand up and have a look around and going, oh God, this is hurting, this is causing me difficulty, this is causing me pain, what am I going to do about it? Well, then you've got a choice to make, because usually what tends to happen is when you're cracking on and doing things, you're benefiting other people. You might not always be benefiting yourself, but you're helping other people. And when you stand up there and you go, actually, this is causing me pain, this is causing me disruption, I don't want to do this anymore. Oh, but you've always been there for me. You've always done that. So this raises that inner conflict. So when I see this card in my mind, I see like changes that are on the horizon. But instead of like walking confidently towards that change point and making a decision, we're kind of like doubling back and second guessing ourselves. So when she's got the yellow on her, the yellow is all about the creativity. It's like the solar plexus chakra. So we've got to find a new way of giving life to, giving birth, creating, or bringing things into being. So my feeling is around this card around you, without having any context, is you've got to come to terms with being you and the decisions that you've got to make over these next few weeks, right? But again, I said at the beginning, being a little bit more selfish sometimes. Yes, I know in your real life that you've got to consider all sorts of angles, but do it anyway. Take any action rather than no action, and don't have any conflict. Sit there, work out what is best in the long run, because with all due respect, and I promise I mean this from the heart, you're not here to just pay bills and die. You're not here to just do all of the negative. So when you're like constantly giving yourself pain, yeah, that's where you built your framework around that, because that's what I deserve, that's what I'm worth. Right, knock it down. Don't subscribe to that darkness. Come out of there and have a look at the alternatives that are around you. Make a choice and go and experience the experience rather than sitting there going, what if? Right? Because you won't know until you've had a go at something new, whether it's going to be the road that you want to be down. All right, I'm from England and I hope this translates across well. This is my card where I'm going, stop whittling about money. And if you don't know what whittling is, it's kind of a colloquial term around me about worrying and being oversensitive about, what money and finances have got, because this is like your ship coming in. So the only exception in the tarot deck with the Knights is the Knight of Pentacles, because the rest of them are all about action. This is slightly there where we're in that spot now where we've done all of the work, we've done all of the running around, and we should start to yield the results from the things that we've invested in. So financially, over the course of these next 3 months, because this is the time frame that I'm working on with this reading, look at what you've invested, time, money, effort, energy that you put in over the last year, and you should start to see a pattern forming. Because what will happen now is you will gain the results of everything that you put in over the last year, and you should be looking at what you want to plant for coming up. So we're in that spring moment, bulb planting time. So financially, or where you want to put your energy, this is where you're going to invest your time and your energy. But this is returns from wise investment, because this horse is sat there contentedly in the field. So we're talking about things coming in for you that you've previously put some time and effort in, and it's going to be good as well. So don't worry about things. Get yourself out of that what if moment and deal with what is currently around you. So I'm just feeling that you've got a gentleman's energy that's coming in, and again, it's another fatherly type of figure that is just there to protect you. How he passed, there was something going on in the chest area there. I feel very short of breath, which I know is a bit of a silly thing to say, but this is how they tend to bring things in. So I'm around this chest area. Not the most talkative person like the previous one there, but very strong. When he said something, he meant it. So I just think that he's coming in there to it's basically hold your hand while you make some decisions. And the second card for you there is the King of Wands. So I'm looking at the King of Wands. So kings are authority figures. The King of Wands is fire, passion, and like what you really want to apply yourself to. But he can be a little bit hot-headed. He can be a little bit rash. He can also have a low boredom tolerance. So when I see his energy, I see, right, if there's constructive things coming in for me, right, I want to crack on with them and not procrastinate. Fine coming from me, I get that. But when I see his energy there available, what I think of is that I'm building some structure. But I've got to pitch it to him that it's worthwhile him staying around, because it can be a little bit sort of fidgety and off. So whatever you've got going on around there now, commit to it, right? Look at whether it's still suiting you. Don't be frightened to change your mind, and look after your own best interest. Right. I don't know why I'm passing this across, but hopefully it will translate across. Even if you're not in this country, somebody is giving you a packet of jammy Dodgers. And if you don't know what jammy Dodgers are, look at these biscuits with a jam in. All right. So it's being passed across for you as a gift. So have a cup of tea and a couple of biscuits, whatever what you want to have, and then make some decisive decisions, and you're going to be looked after. Okay. Crystal, that you are 100% real. Yeah, no, it comes from my mum. Right, my mum is very abrupt, very direct, and I kind of like grew up with that. And when I got around people, I don't do fluff and flower. It pisses me off. Right, if you've got something to say, get it out of the way. Even when you've got something difficult going on around you, I don't do elephant in the room moments. I find it really uncomfortable. So when somebody comes to me and they go, it's your job to find out what I'm here for, right? You picked the wrong reader. I'm here to help. I'm here to support and guide. I'm not here to be a mind reader or a magician, trick pony, or whatever you want to call it. I want people to have something constructive to work with when they're moving on to their next thing. So yeah, I call a spade a spade. It does get me in trouble because I've got a motor mouth, but if I said to you I regretted it and I said I'm sorry, I've got myself into trouble for the things I've said over the years, but then I've gone to him with the apology and I've been sincere with it, and then 30 seconds later I'll do exactly the same thing again without even thinking about it. And it's not like to be nasty, it's just the sort of Burke that I am. I've got used to it. Right. Oh my God, call him Dad. Brilliant. Thank you. I hope that makes sense for you. Lovely. A lot of love going there for you. Yeah. I take that on board. It is difficult. My father-in-law left us 4 years ago, and the man was a mountain. He was just everything to me. And when people go, oh, well, time heals all wounds, bollocks. It doesn't. It really doesn't. I think you can just put it in a space where you can move it just so that you can pick it up and carry it with you. That's my humble opinion. This is why I don't advise on grieving, because you do it at your own pace. And for me, I'll never heal from it. It'll never be in a space where I can turn around and go, I'm okay with it, because I'm not. And that's the intent that I've set. So it's an odd one, isn't it? But it's difficult. Right. Crystal, can I have a card? You certainly can, Crystal. And thank you for your patience as I've waffled on and gone around the houses over things. But I say, it's just that thing there for me to just promote the business. Where I'm focusing a lot of my energy is around the counselling, the coaching, and also getting my bottom lip picked back up, because I want to get onto YouTube, but I don't understand half of this algorithm crap. I really don't. So I'm coming on here. I will be working with the Fortune Cookies at some point on promotion and how to do things. I've got so much time. So I know she's got nearly 6,000 subscribers, but please go across and have a look at her. Same with the Fitness Hutch. Go across and have a look at them. Grumpy Sapper is another one that I'd recommend as well. Go across and have a look at what they do, because they all bring in upliftment in their own different way. Right, Crystal. Right. So what I tend to do when I'm doing a reading for people, and this is how it sounds really weird, but what I do is I send I imagine throwing a tennis ball out to the universe with a client's name on it and say, right, this is what I'm getting, this is what come back, and then just read off it, just literally just pass on what I feel is coming through. So again, it seems to be all gentlemen that's coming round today. This gentleman coming in is slightly different to the other twos because he's a little bit more livelier as he comes in. He's coming in there at the moment, and where he's hitting me, Crystal, is around the throat chakra. So he's dealing with issues here. He talks about a condition around the stomach area. So I'm not quite sure whether he means that you've had an issue around your stomach area or whether that's how he passed, because I'm feeling like this is all sort of inflamed. Now, I'm not a medical expert. I can hear the word cancer being mentioned, but again, I'm not medically qualified. I'm just going with what I'm sat here feeling. He's bringing in the throat chakra because there's something there that I feel that you need to get off your chest. And whatever it is, it's been 2 or 3 years in the making. So there's that emotional heart center. So when we sit there, and excuse me, because I've got my lovely pink Fat Willie's top on today, in there, in the heart chakra, there's kind of like a blockage where I want to speak and I want to get it off my chest. This is all about emotional blockages rather than talking about a physical issue, because I wouldn't do that, and I'm not allowed to anyway. But it's being brought up there, and what you're doing at the moment is for fear of upsetting people or coming out with what you need to come out with, you are compressing it. Now, I'm not telling you that you're doing anything wrong whatsoever, but if you're doing that, then at some point it's going to have to find its way out. And what I say to people, if you're in a situation where you can't, because it's all right me sitting here pontificating on what you should do and things like that, but in your very real life, there are certain instances in your life where you can't speak to people, you can't have a row with them, you can't get it out of your system. You just have to accept that it's kind of like part and parcel of your everyday life. But what you can do is disassociate, which is a big word for cord cutting, basically, of around the energy. So like with my dad's energy, I found him very difficult because he'd got a mindset where he was always right. So you go into what I would call maintenance with the energy, that you don't go on any unsafe subjects. You don't get drawn into an argument or a fight or anything like that. You just stay on that vibration. When you go away from that situation, find a way of releasing that out of your system. Because if you imagine you've got a big bike chain going on from around the groin area, base of the spine, up to just above the head, that is revolving energy all of the time. And if you throw in anything that's sort of like negative, dark, uncomfortable, or anything like that, you're still processing it. So the best thing is to get rid of it and shift it. Whatever it is, it feels like quite a block, because I'm coughing now, and that's usually a sure sense that I've got one of two things, potentially both. I've got quite a heavy smoker around me at the moment, not quite sure who that is, but the fact that I need to speak and get something off my chest. Your cards, Crystal, is we've got the balance card again. So the explanation remains the same, that it's about dealing with the darker side as well as the lighter side. And my guidance is with you is, don't beat yourself up over things you're not going to do. It's one of those. If you've made a decision, do not, and I repeat, do not carry any guilt about it. If you want to change things, and if you don't, move on accordingly. You've got the Lover's card there, which is, I tend to focus on the biceps on here, and I know life and roles and things in there are interchangeable, but I look at those biceps there as a signal of strength. So when I see the Lover's card, I always think about being around people that share the same mind frame as you. It's a great partnership card, don't get me wrong. So if you're looking at things around partnerships and being given a lift, but I don't want to like assume anything. So when I look at it, it's being in partnership around people that give you that lift, right? Male, female, whatever it is, because I'm not up with all of these terms these days. I just see strength. I just see people as energy, lifting one another. If you've got somebody around you that's dragging you down, a little bit of a negative Nelly, right, get out of their energy, just move away from it and disconnect from them. But this is just maybe just talking about what's important to you over these, particularly over these next couple of weeks, and just getting it out of your system. The other card there that we've got for you is the King of Wands. So again, I've got the King of Wands, and the King of Wands is, again, as I described earlier. So if we're looking at practical things and changing foundations, moving houses, changing jobs, careers, business ideas and things like that, this is where we've got to engage that energy and get on with it and push forward. Okay, so at the minute I'm sensing that something in your head isn't quite clear, because I'm being shown a big sword. Swords are all about communication and how you think and use your intellect. So this is maybe needing a heart-to-heart with yourself so that you can cut through the bullshit and make some decisions that will benefit you over these next few weeks. So hopefully that made sense. Anyway, I can get through. Oh, bless you. Right, you have my condolences. I never know the right words. I've had a lot of people around me. I lost 3 people that I cared about very much last year, more along the friendship line of things, but what an impact that they've had. Thanks, Samantha. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope your reading made a bit of sense for you. I'm not going to be on much longer because I'm gagging for a brew as well. So thank you. I appreciate your time. I look at that, and the only way you can get through, great. So you've got an outlet, you've got a creative outlet, and that is good. So it's one of those where I look at my way of coping is, and I had one today. I've been feeling a little bit flat, and a little bit like off, because, as I say right at the beginning, I'm dealing with quite a lot in my headspace, and I've decided I wanted to sing today. I'm not the greatest singer. What I tend to lack in quality, I'll make up for in volume. So I've just picked a track list of all of the things that give me upliftment. I've sat on the stairs because that's where the best acoustics are, and I've belted a bit out because you're in that bigger vibration, that higher vibration. So it brings in upliftment. So I encourage you to do more of that. Right. Anybody else? Is there anybody else that are around me just quickly? I'm not sensing anything more at the moment, but the idea around this wasn't to sort of do in-depth sort of mediumship. So I will stop that one there. I just want to check to make sure I've not missed anybody. Just double checking these. Right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Have I missed anybody? Are you still on, Christina? I'm just double checking. If there's anybody else on, thank you. I might, and this is where I've got to sort of hold myself. No, I'm going to do your card, Christina, because I watched your Taurus thing the other day, because I'm Taurus. And when I looked at the Taurus thing, it made absolute sense. So this is my payback. All right, okay. So I will do Christina the reading, and then I'm going to have a brew. I may come back on later on. Mrs. P will be going out and doing her exercising things, but I'm not promising because this is where the mind state that I'm in. I'll pop up when I feel like doing it. I want to connect in with, as I say, Annabelle at Fortune Cookies, so that may well affect whether I come on or not. But I am going to do my best to hold myself accountable for doing more content on here because, as I say, I just want to help people. So my details across the thing there. I don't know if I've got my. Let me just check my. Just checking to see if I've got my mediumship thing there. Yeah, so we'll put that on there and leave that on there. So anybody wanting to book a reading, it's £35 for 30. But this is the prices will be changing. But at the moment, it's £35 to 30 to 40 minutes online, or if you're in around my area at my house, and it's using tarot, angel, and intuition. But the prices is going to go up because I keep getting told off by people that I'm undervaluing myself. So sometimes you can't win, can you? So journeys. So there's something there for you, Christina, that I feel that we've maybe got to look at. That we need to crack on with it, if that makes sense. And this card, when I read it, I always look at it as the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So communication issues, anything that you need to get off your chest, anything that you need to heal from, because I think collectively for healers and readers and people that are working energetically, that there is a lot to contend with at the moment. And what's been explained to me today, because I've had this blockage that I can't seem to find my way past, is that the reason the blockage is there is because it needs looking at. It needs shifting. Now, whether it's past or it's present, it still needs looking at so we can shift it so that we can access whatever it is that we're looking to access. But we've got to do the dirty work, what I call the treading in treacle work first, right? And then we can basically stick the keys in the locks then after that and then start opening a few doors. But the doors aren't going to open until we've cleared up the muck that's leading up to it. I hope that makes a bit of sense, because that's how it was described to me, and then I've sort of filtered it and then put my little slant on it. So we've got the Three of Pentacles, which for me is pride in your work. Right. I look at this as a bit of an apprenticeship card there. What he's doing there is he's forging his own money, making his own money and finances. Pentacles for me, money, finances, riches, and non-material wealth. So this is about investment of your time and energy. So maybe there, when you comment about that you're not doing a lot on XYZ, maybe this is just about finding yourself again and where you're putting your time and your life hours. But wherever you are, make sure you've got pride in it. Make sure that you're getting off it what you need as a bare minimum. If you're not, be prepared to invest and look elsewhere. It's one I always found difficult because I'm quite determined. I want to make the best out of everything that I do and give it 100%. But sometimes you just got to withdraw and realize it's not the avenue for you. But this is why we've got the life experience that we've got. I never like to quit anything, but sometimes you have to ask, is it the right move? And this is quite a lot of what I'm going through at the moment. So just something for you to consider, right? And the only thing that's holding you back, and you know me when I speak to you because you've met me, you spoke to me, the devil card there. And the devil card, for those of you that don't know that are watching this, the devil card is all about self-enslavement, what you're chaining yourself to, what are you potentially avoiding. The traditional Rider-Waite card shows Adam and Eve chained to a block of concrete and the devil in the background. So we're avoiding an issue somewhere, another way or another, potentially, and we're overcompensating in something else. So maybe what the guidance is there is to take a little bit of a step back there and just have a look at where you're applying yourself and what your best needs and best use of your resources. I don't know whether I've got mum or a motherly energy with you, but I've got somebody coming in there who's a little bit sharp with her words, she says, can be a little bit sharp with her words. And she's talking about organisation around you. Again, I'm around the heart area with this lady, so I've got something going on just around that heart area. So I think maybe with you, it's just something there. I think what the message in the link is something that your heart's not in, maybe time to make a change. Okay, I'm going to stop there, guys, because I want a drink, and it was a bit of an experiment. So thank you for tuning in with me. I really appreciate that. Hopefully my rambling didn't get too much for you. And if you like what I did, please look at me on Facebook on Rick Paul Spiritual Medium and Psychic, and on the other page, which is what I'm concentrating a lot of my effort on, Rick Paul Spiritual Counselor, Thought Therapist, and it's spiritual life coaching. That's what I love doing. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate that. And if you don't get to tune in and see me again, thanks for coming on and spending a bit of your life's hours with you. So good night, good evening, good morning, or wherever you are. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop there, guys. Thank you very much.